As a culture, we're obsessed with time and understanding how it works. Every superhero movie in the last 10 years is talking about time travel, infinite dimensions, infinite versions of yourself, and so on. But there's one concept about time that we can all agree on. History repeats itself. In this episode of the Disc Dungeon, Julian and I put each other on to two albums of today that could have very well come out in the 90s. New genres were popping out left and right. Napster and LimeWire provided a new and illegal, shame on you, access to music that connected the world in a way that was never done before. Music in the 90s was like a middle-aged man with a midlife crisis who desperately wants to be cool. Wait, Julian, did you write this about me?
All right, guys, we're back for another episode, and you know how this goes. You know, we put each other onto two albums, and we're going to start reviewing them today for you. So, Joe, this week, you put me on to Duke Dumont.
Duke Dumont.
I got to say that, I don't know if our audience has noticed that we try to do this D alliteration. Right? So Duke Dumont was actually pretty, it's pretty cool. It's pretty kind of, it's along the same wave.
And it has its iteration because it's called Duality. So Duke Dumont Duality.
Just saying, man. Maybe he's on the same wave as us. He's in the dungeon.
He's in the dungeon with us. I'm convinced.
Hey, man. So, all right. Duality was great. At first, it had a 10 out of 10 for me. It went down to a 9 out of 10, and that's just, honestly, it's purely because songs...
You're picky.
7 through... Yes, I'm very picky.
You're picky.
Songs 7 through 10 just didn't hold enough weight in themselves, but 1 through 6 were so strong that I got a 9. You know what I mean?
I'll take it.
Right? So, all right, let's dive in a little bit. First song on the album, Therapy. Sheesh. I wasn't ready for that. I loved all of this intro. This woman's voice is powerful. And Duke lets me know right off the bat that there's gonna be a lot of '90s influence in this album. It's very telling. We're gonna talk more about Duke and his influences as well. But you can see a lot from that first song, and that's cool. That's cool. I love that he's wearing his heart on his sleeve. Number 2, another banger, man. The Power. And it's cool because the song itself, the concept of the song is an exchange of power. Like it's like this thing is power, and it's constantly being shifted between you and me. So that's kind of cool because usually songs will focus on like physical, what kind of material things, and this is more of a very abstract thing that happens. These dynamics that happen in every relationship. So very nice. And on top of that, the beat is just fire. So it's like,
right.
It's like you can't get better than that.
Just makes you want to dance.
It makes you want to dance. Yep. Obey.
Obey.
Yo, fire. It had my mother-in-law singing in the car. That's how fire it was. She was coming in like, obey. And I was like, obey. Right?
Yeah.
And then because obviously Marina is who Marina is, and she was ad-libbing in between each obey. It would go like, obey, and she's like, I will not. Obey, I will not. I'm like, babe, that's the point of the song. It's supposed to be, it's like political, and she's like, whatever. Next song, The Fear. All right, so this is definitely like late 80s, early 90s vibe. Again, his influences are showing through. I see myself, driving down the road, giving everyone the ill head bop, mean face and everything as I'm, I don't know, I guess in this...
You got to be wearing
scenario,
some like super baggy pants too.
Yeah, I got like a top down too, so I'm down. Nobody's really seeing my pants at this point, but
yeah, that's true.
But they could tell I'm a cholo, Sorry,
up,
guys, I'm not. I'm Colombian. I'm not a cholo. Next song, Nightcrawler. I feel like I'm in early 90s New York City. And damn, I can hear some MJ on this in reality. He really did murder this beat, this guy, but like imagine MJ was on this one.
Oh my God.
That would be some shit. And it also gives me like Brother Tiger and FM84 vibe.
Ah, yes. Well, that we'll get back to that. We're gonna put a little pin clip in there.
Ocean Drive, next song. Oh shit! This is the single, right? This is the one that was a single, and for great reason. Because this, man, you know what I love about this song the most is that in the first 4 or 5 seconds of the song, when the intro is playing, you really don't know what's about to hit you. You don't know that the song is about to go in the way that it goes, and then boom, driving down the boulevard. I was like, oh my god! I was like, this dude literally was trying to recreate freestyle in, what was this, 2020 that this came out? In 2020.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So
2020, April 2020. Yeah.
Hands down, another one banger. Let's Keep Moving. This is kind of where the album got a 9 for me at this point, because after Ocean Drive, you know, nothing really lived up to the other to the other songs that I have listened that I heard on this album. Together, it's got this like cool Daft Punk vocoder. It's very repetitive. It kind of feels like a transition rather than like a song. And around like a minute and 15 seconds, it goes into like this rock ballad style drum. It speeds up and then switches to some like David Grohl type drums. So it's cool. Like, it takes you on a journey, but it didn't do it for me in this how the other ones did. Love Song was reminiscent of Bonobo vibes. Again, dropping some hints. Love the big tuba sound. Love the big tuba sound in the second half of the song. The song is really like an enjoyable roller coaster with an EDM drop in the last quarter. Let's go. Overture is exactly that. It is a beautiful piece on the piano, and you can feel the change in mood of the song. It gets serious and solemn, and I think it's actually perfect timing for a piece like this. Swedish House Mafia actually uses a couple of overture pieces in their album as well. I just wanted to make that disconnect. And the last song on the album, Let Me Go. It starts on the end of Overture in the same key, and Dumont blesses us with these sultry vocals and this choir. The lyrics, he's pleading to someone to let him go. And the music matches that mood. And by a minute and 29 seconds, I feel like I'm saying goodbye. The song starts to swell with some synth, the vocals fade and the strings take off, you know, and just for me, at least, all of a sudden, all of the music on the album and what he was trying to portray makes sense. You know, I guess what I got from this is that essentially songs from beginning all the way to the end is the struggle, is the journey, is the ups and downs, the pain, the suffering. And Let Me Go is the song that he's kind of talking to himself. He's like, let me go. I want to let go of this pain. That's the message. Pretty much everything on this album, the message of this album is that he's done and he wants to get past this. And he's basically pleading to himself, let me go. So that's what I took from it. All in all, the critiques on this album have been pretty harsh, like from the research that I've done, and I can see why. You know, there was a lot of hype leading up to this album, and I hate when that happens, but still got a 9 out of 10 in the dungeon, bro.
Hey, works for me. Another one for the good guys.
Another one. So, sir, I put you on to Swedish House Mafia, bro. That's a behemoth right there. What is that, 17 songs on that album?
17. You put me on a marathon of music, man. I've never heard so much in one album since, like, we had those MP3 CDs that came out in the 90s.
I love it, man. But what did you think about it?
I enjoyed Swedish House Mafia. It was a different experience. It does kind of remind me of Above and Beyond, and I feel like it encapsulated some of the things from Dumont. So I really enjoyed that. My favorite song, of course, is Time and Frankenstein. Those songs are pretty dope.
Yeah, Frankenstein is fire.
Frankenstein is fire. Time is possibly the first time I've heard a song and then I heard saved to my playlist right away. It's the first time since, actually, let me correct myself. It's the first time since you put me onto Sampha. When that will you feel the blood on me? I've heard that song a bajillion times and it's been staying in the loop. So that's a throwback to an earlier episode. So make sure you download our other ones. It's such a great track, and it sets up for a great drive. Like, you just want to pop it in the car and then just coast. It's perfect. Um, Heaven Takes You Home is a nice song. I do like the guest vocalist Connie Ko. She was cool. Um, Jacob's Note didn't really do much for me, but Moth to a Flame, uh, it's a dope song, and it's with The Week, and so I thought that was kind of cool. It's a very different mix on that. Mafia is like the mob is coming for you, and it's like, all right, you're either gonna go and get the papers, get the papers. Goodfellow fans will like that, but it's a very driven type of song, and it kind of feels like you either need to do what the mafia tells you to do, or do the mob runs. Like if you ever see those, like even The Sopranos,
Is exactly what I thought.
Yeah,
100%,
like-
man. You're sitting there and you're watching this dude about to unravel his plan. Essentially, is what's happening.
Yeah.
This music is.
it's perfect. It's perfect. Yeah. The next track, Frankenstein featuring ASAP Rocky. I know it's
A$AP Rocky.
I know it's just being, midlife man. I didn't expect to like this track. I had no idea. I knew who A$AP Rocky was because, of course, we all know Rihanna. She's a Bejan, just like myself. But I wasn't expecting to like this because I thought he was going to be a mumble rapper. And then instead he was not. He was really good. And this track was insane.
Nah, man, you disrespectful right now. A$AP is not a mumble rapper.
No, not at all. I didn't know. I've never heard his stuff before. And I was like, oh, here we go.
And you were like, oh, it's another one of those A$APs.
Yeah. I was like, oh, here we go. ASAP me, get me out of here. Like,
That's funny.
But it was like, yo, this is dope. And now I've actually listened to a couple of his songs, so it's like broadening my horizons, I guess. I shouldn't have judged a book by his terrible name. But the next song, Don't Go Mad, featuring Senabo Say, who's from the Gambia and Senegal, West Africa. Wow, what a voice. And this gives me like a Moby soundscape vibe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I really liked it. I didn't think I would again because I didn't know who it was. And, I love being put on to new artists that give me a new reason to find out other artists. Like Massive Attack is infamous for that because they had the old 5-man army. And then I found out about Goldie and Tricky and all this stuff. So just like, this is one of those things that just broadens your horizon. So I'm really, really glad I found you put me onto Swedish House Mafia. Paradise Again. This one is where they got the big 70s and 80s influence. And then like right in the middle of it with the rise in hip hop, you can hear that boom trap trance. It's very cool. It's definitely a track that I've listened to more than once. But here's another one that went right into my favorites playlist. It's called Lifetime. It's a cool track with some fun ebbs and flows. And I love when a song or even just an album just kind of gives you something and then pulls back and then gives you something more. It's like peaks and valleys in a mountain range. But it's like the giant swerve for the rest of the album. Just kind of like Duke Duant's, like in the middle of the album that just changes its direction. They're very cool to me. Do
you feel like at this point it's losing steam or it's just changing?
I just feel like it's changing. Like the other stuff was a little bit more heavy, more beat. There was a lot of vocals, and then it kind of just like gets slower from this point. And I don't mind slower. You know what I mean? Because when you're going on for a bike ride or a walk, you can't listen to pumped up songs all the time because you'll pass out.
Yeah, right.
yeah. Oh, I'm really tired.
You're about to go to sleep. Like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, exactly. But the repeated chorus on this one is super catchy, and it was stuck in my head. Once in a lifetime, watching the skyline, you don't change your mind while you're under the white light. And for anybody that lives near or works in New York City, this is like the New York City anthem. You're always watching the rises of new buildings with new bright lights that come into your face every day. And it might not be the meaning of the song, just my interpretation, but I feel like that's what the purpose is. And that's how I interpret it after my listening experience. Moving on is Calling On, the next song on the album. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to say that it feels like those last two lines, don't change your mind while you're under the white light. It kind of reminds me of of like Times Square or just anywhere pretty much in Manhattan. There's, it's just neon lights and lights everywhere. Everything's working 24/7, but the don't change your mind while under the white light part is kind of reminiscent of like, don't let them catch you sleeping or something. You know what I mean? Like watch out. Like the city might look a certain way, but it could catch you. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I feel like it's going. But all right, those are my two dents.
Yeah, no, all good, and it's true because it's like when you work in New York City and if you end up taking on a subway, all the lights are white, but you better pay attention because if you caught slipping, you end up on the wrong side of the tracks.
If you get caught slipping, you're gonna get tripped.
Yeah.
What?
Next song is Calling On. Every album needs a break, and this is the one where the album switches from a little bit more upbeat to a lot slower. And everything from here on out is kind of balancing with this song. And it's not terrible, but it's not groundbreaking. And Calling On is the one that absorbs that big moment. Next song is Home. The track stays in your mind. It's like one of those things that you want to put on when you're trying to work out your math problems or those moments you had in an argument where you're like, oh, wait, now I know what I should have said. It's kind of like one of those that makes you reflect on things. There are some dope lyrics hidden in this song, and I feel like the album could have stopped here to like close just like an 80s movie, but they decided, let's keep going.
For another 7 songs.
Yeah, exactly. For another 7 songs. Yeah, this is my my marathon album. The next song is called Let's Get Better. It does get better, but this song isn't one of the reasons it does. Red Light. Okay. Anytime you put Sting in, I'm going to love it. So this is not, typically expected. So what the deal with this song is it's Red Light because that's one of the sections, and this band is heavily influenced by the Police. Roxanne, their Police is one of their largest songs. There's a line that's put on the red light, and they do like a really dope mix with it, and it's fucking on point. The beats, the soundscapes, the tech, the synth, it's all on point. Love this song,
dude. This song. What? Sorry, we'll get more into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that. The song "Oh Man," someone really knows me. You put Sting in it, and it's an instant win. The next song is "Can You Feel It?" Now, I don't know if you guys remember the Jackson 5, but they had this like comeback song right before Michael broke out on his own, and it was called "Can You Feel It?" So I was expecting like that, but it didn't happen. But it threw me for a loop. It feels like a very video game soundtrack for a bit. It's not bad, but it was reminding me of those days in front of the TV playing like Streets of Rage. Like, it was on in that background music that you play in those old school like scrollers. And then 1930, which is another song that is video game inspired, but it felt more developed than the song prior, because the song prior felt like a Genesis game, and this one felt like PSX. This is like the next level when Sony jumped on the scene.
So Can You Feel It was like 8-bit.
Yeah.
1930 was like 16-bit.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. And it was quick, and it was like those quick missions that you do right before you fight the main big boss.
Oh, facts. You got to get some, resources.
Right.
Jacked up. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. And then Another Minute is the next song. It's a great track. It almost made the top favorites of the list, and it was taken by the vocals. This is not a pop song zoned or dance track, but it's a very beautiful track. Definitely worth a few listens so you can really get the full oomph of the saga here. And you definitely want to listen to it more than once so you can get the lyrics. The cool part of the song is the constant buildup. I kept thinking there would be this huge beat drop. It was going to go like, wah, but instead it just like mellowed out. I was like, wah, wah, wah. I was like, oh, okay. So it took another minute for me to get that. And then finally, For You. This is one of the other tracks that I really liked. They went back to the Home song and remembered, oh yeah, we got to do a 90s closeout. Let's not do 80s. We got to do a 90s closeout. So it would be so much better for this album. And it's almost like there's a choir sounding in the back. It's a nice, elegant touch. with the onboarding of a drum kit that makes it a fun dance track to close out this really epic album, in my opinion. It's not often someone now reminds me of back then, but when I find it, I tend to hold on. So a lot of these tracks are like going to be in my rotation, constant on my playlist. It's interesting how this is so many songs are packed into one album, excellently compiled together. It puts a nice, pleasing moment in the ear.
You know what's interesting is that just like Duke Dumont, this album was highly criticized. And I think it, again, had to do with the hype. Swedish House Mafia came out with an album back in, I believe, 2013, or, I'm not 100% sure, right? That song Greyhound was on it. That, it was a monster album. And then they didn't drop for 10 years. So the hype around it was huge. And a lot of people were let down. For me, I'm sorry, I may not go song by song and know every song by heart, but the songs like just like you, the songs that I listened to that made them straight to my playlist. Red Light rocked my world. Like that song, I just went bananas over, dude. I played that shit at my wedding. That's how that's how amazing that shit was.
Yes, I remember. Well, sort of.
It's all foggy now.
It's all foggy now. There's a lot of alcohol.
Yeah, man. I go to different places when I hear these 90s influences.
Mm-hmm.
As a 1990s baby, as a 1990 baby, because people get that confused. I was born on 1990, and so because of that, my memory of the 90s are just really just bits and pieces, right?
Yeah.
Like I get them a lot through memories, videos of the past, through my mom and what she's told me, things like that. By the way, my mom was the queen of the moonwalk. My mom.
Oh, shit.
Had the ill moonwalk back then. I just remembered, but.
Oh, wow.
Anyways, man, I'm when I think of the 90s, I'm transported to la 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 dee da da la la dee da da. That's where I go immediately when I think of the 90s, man. I think of
I want to be your lover. Ha, hey.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah, all those. And I think of Temple Run, Power Rangers, Space Jam.
Yeah, all those classics, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of things that kind of, I didn't really see when they first came out. Kind of like maybe later in the 2000s, I started to see a little more of the stuff that came out in the 90s simply because, the age.
Yeah.
Right? The reason why I put you onto Paradise again was because Red Light slipped into my Spotify DMs. As I told you, I was blown away. And I knew that Joe would drop his panties over a Sting feature.
You know me too well.
Funny story. I wanted to surprise Joe at my wedding and play the song, which I did, guys. So remember, this is the story now.
Yeah.
I played the song. Turns out Joe wasn't even there.
Yeah.
Turns out Joe missed quite a
section of the wedding.
Quite a chunk of the wedding. I mean, it's all right, but hold up. He was doing a great deed. He wanted us to be officially married, and everybody listening needs more context.
Yeah, because what did I do?
Joe married me and my wife.
I was the officiant.
He's the officiant, and what he wanted to do right after having us sign the documents was go straight to the courthouse, to the probate court, to drop off the documentation, right? Because
it was my anniversary, and I was like, listen, if I fuck up and don't put his marriage papers and then never get certified, I'm going to be the deadhead that fucked everything up. So it's like, because I know I'm going to drink and we're going to go on a plane 6 a.m. in the morning, let me jet over there, drop this in.
Joe leaves right after the ceremony, guys.
Yeah.
And then the whole reception is gone. And then comes back, like there's no more, like we obviously saved a plate of food for him, but there's no food, nothing. We had no idea. This dude just bounced. Came back for maybe two, 3 songs to end the night, and that was it.
Yeah, it was great.
But you got the job done, bro.
Yeah. And that's such a great story, because that's ironically not the first time I've done that. I was at another wedding. I didn't marry these people. You and I have a better, closer moment. But
what had happened
was like my friend had a wedding. It was right on the sea, and something got into me, and I got really sick. So I had to dip and use the facilities, and I don't like going in a public restroom. So I went all the way back home, did my business, and came back. So it's like a wedding thing.
Wow. So, if you guys are looking for an officiant, Joe is obviously the best choice because he will do the job and get out.
Yeah, that's right. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here. All right, everybody, you kiss him. All right, go, let's go.
Well, we went on a tangent there. This obviously had nothing to do with the 90s. We're just sharing. But obviously the connection there was Sting and the song Red Light. Dude, Swedish House Mafia was one of those first bands that I pirated shit off. Oh, can I say that?
Yeah. I said the F word. We're an explicit podcast, just in case. So
we're now explicit, right?
Yeah.
So, I grew up with them. I grew up definitely listening to them individually, right? Because there was a point in my life where I was very big into Eurodance and techno and house, right? So they're big names in that. And then Swedish House Mafia, just to me, this album, that album, I don't care what the critics say, man. They're killing it. And the 90s influence in that album is like, it's not the only influence, but to me, it's the biggest one.
Yeah.
So through my research, I found out that Swedish House Mafia is a member of three bands. It's three members. Well,
it's a 3-member band.
It's a 3-member band, right? And they're all born. One of them is born in the 70s. The other 2 members are born in the 80s. And Duke Dumont is also born in the 80s.
Yep.
So to me, the fact that they in the 2020s decided to then use these influences in their music made sense because they lived their teenage years were through the 90s as opposed to me where it's in bits and pieces. So it kind of all came full circle when I saw that piece of information.
Yeah. And I find it ironic that both of their albums came out in April.
Oh,
which I thought was weird. It's like, that's
maybe. Oh, you know what it is? That kind of makes sense because I remember Swedish House Mafia saying that they wanted to drop their album specifically 4 months before some big festival. So maybe they both play at that festival.
Maybe
wanted to play. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, and it's also funny because that's when you got married because this is your first year anniversary, right?
Oh, dude, I just made that connection right now. Oh, and we're in April right now.
Yeah.
What, dude? I was not. That was definitely unplanned.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a disconnect that I was not thinking of making.
No. Crazy, right?
Guys, there's a new thing that I've been saying in this episode. You might have heard it already, and you might be asking yourself right now, what is disconnect? So before Joe gives us his story, let me introduce you to a section in our podcast, which you've already been very familiar with.
Yeah.
And has changed names quite a couple times, but we've just recently decided on a cool twist for the Story Saves Lives section, and we're thinking of calling it Disconnect. So DISK, such as Dis Dungeon, and Connect as in like a connection. So it's not disconnecting. We're actually making a disconnecting.
Yeah, we're disconnecting the discs. So we're making the discs connect.
We're connecting the discs.
Yeah, we're connecting the discs. The hard drives are connected.
maybe we should just call it Connect Disc or Connect.
No,
disc.
Disconnection sounds cooler. I like that one better.
Well, guys, if you listen to this episode, let us know in the comments. Do you like this new name? Are we thinking about it too much? Do you want us just to shut the fuck up?
No, I think, you let us know in the comments or, give us a rating and then give us a review. And then in the review, let us know what you think. And then we'll do that.
If you're listening to this episode and then this episode causes you to go comment or write a review, thank you.
Yeah.
Go you.
Thank you so much.
Joe, please disconnect.
Here we go. Back into freestyle. Freestyle, man. This is the type of music that reminds me of a babysitter I had when I was a little kid named Angie. She actually lived behind the public library, which I always thought was the coolest building in the city. A lot of happy memories on the other side of town and connections to children that I would normally never have the opportunity to meet in schools that I used to attend because everything was very separated by the middle of the train. And there are a lot of happy memories of going and being babysat at her place which was on the other side of town, and allowed me to meet children that I normally would never have the opportunity to meet because our schools were separated by the train tracks, and we wouldn't really venture on the other side of the tracks in those young years of mine. So this was the first time I'd heard freestyle. And she would dance to the beat in her room. She had this humongous empire house, which I think they tore down recently, actually, because they made another apartment building. But anyway, they had these high ceilings with this like molding that's cast iron molding in the ceiling, which is cool. Place was littered with posters. All the walls were full of posters from the groups of the 90s. And, you know, she would be playing some of those tracks that you remember, like Change My Mind by Cynthia and Little Susie's Take Me in Your Arms. And then that's right before she like jumped into Boys and Men and those type of things. But that's how Dumont's music hits me. If it was like a late 80s, excuse me. Yeah, exactly. That's how Duke Dumont's music hits me. Is this if he was a late 80s, early 90s artist? Those TV shows were cloudy and the beats kept dropping. Good times, bike rides, learning about the world from a different door. And she would move away when I graduated high school. But I remember her putting me onto this music. An Ocean Drive alone just sicked me into that space and time 30 years ago. Wow, 30 years ago. Oh my God.
Third Eye Blind, Semi-Charmed Life.
Yeah. I want something else.
Listen to the song again. Go ahead. But this time, pay attention to the lyrics. It's crazy how music has the ability to trick the shit out of you into thinking it's a fun, wholesome song.
Yeah.
It's all about drugs
and sex.
And it's not much of a trick in the sense that, you know, you read the lyrics and you can pretty much tell what he's saying, but the first time around, you don't really get that, you know. You know, the melody's so kind of catchy, it's so happy that you maybe don't really listen to the lyrics. You start mumbling some words that you think he's saying,
and he speaks very fast too. It's like,
exactly.
Huh? What?
You're
like, whatever.
Dude, this was like straight up summer song, like
yeah.
And it makes sense because honestly, people do drugs in the summer too, but just felt like a good wholesome summer song, and it's not.
Nope.
So, as always, here, guys, we dive deep and we try to find these little nuggets for you guys in our tricks of this key section. And our Chiefs of the Keys.
Wow. Tongue twisters.
Well, as always, guys, thank you so much. I'm Julian Valencia.
And I'm Joe Dove. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Please give us a rating, 5 stars if you don't mind, on Spotify, Apple, and iHeartRadio music podcast streamers. We'd be greatly appreciative of that. And it helps us grow. And share it with your friends. And I want to just give a special shout out to our good buddies in Des Moines, Iowa, because you are our number one listening state.
So, shout out to Iowa, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to Des Moines. Yo, let me know. Comment. Let us know who you are. Who are you? Who are you?
Who are you? We appreciate you all. So give us a shout. Hit us up with a rate, and then we'll shout you out by name on the podcast.